Hi there, Hunter from Interactive here. In this video, I'm going to go over creating the materials and lighting this scene inside of Blender. So we'll go over all the textures in here, and this is actually a much more detailed texture. So if you see here, the foil here has a lot more detail than it is rendering out as, and that's just the resolution. But we'll go over how to create this whole scene inside of Blender. Now this is the model that we made a few weeks ago, so you can watch how to model that on the channel. Alright, let's jump in. I just want to let you know that we've built a free course to help you get started and up and running with product visualization in Blender. And so if you just go to interactive.studio, you can sign up to a course which will go through a complete project creating a iPhone 15 render, and I'll go through modeling it all the way to lighting and rendering it. You can also find the link for it down in the description. Alright, so this is the scene without any lighting and it's all set up already. So basically it's just the cosmetic bottle that we had in that video that we modeled. And then what we have here is I've just got a box underneath, and this one has a bevel on it with just 5 segments, and it's shaded smooth so that we get these nice edges. That'll give us that white reflection on the edge here. Then I have a big background plane and we'll add a color into that. Let's just quickly press home here. And then of course we have the cosmetic bottle sitting on top of there. It's like a soap dispenser, something like that. Then my camera is sort of sitting back here. It is lower than the horizon, so it's looking up, and it has quite a bit of zoom on this with 120 mil of focal length. And so you'll also notice that there is also some lighting already in the scene, even though there isn't any lights visible. And that comes from the world lighting here, which I've already put in. And so this is a grayscale gorilla one. I can show you what it looks like. We go to world. So here it is here. And if we find it. So this is a premium HDRI, and if I open it up in the image editor, we can look for it. So GSG, this is what it looks like. So if you want to follow along, you can get that HDRI. And so that gives us that base lighting to begin with. And so there's actually no rotation on this one, so it's just straight into Blender, and the strength is dialed way down. So let's jump back to our 3D viewport. Now, usually I would try to start lighting before I start adding materials, but in this case I'm going to do it the other way around, only because what we've got here is, you can see our cosmetic bottle is going to be glass, and so I want to light that afterwards rather than before, because I'll be adjusting lights anyway. So let's jump over to our object here, and we'll start with the main part of this cosmetic bottle. So these are going to be fairly simple materials here. I think this one already has a material, so this box already has a material, so just call this box, and it's just white, and I just reduced the roughness down to a random number. You can go like 1.3, so it's a little bit shiny, and that will work. So let's jump up to our cosmetics here, and we'll add a new material, and I'll just call this one bottle. I'll get rid of the principal BSF, although you can use it. And the way you would use it to just make glass is go to the transmission, I think it is, pump that up and reduce the roughness down. And that's not working straight away because we need to add that to the second shape there. So there you go. So that's your glass. You have also got a glass BSDF here, which tends to be a little bit easier to use in this case. It just has the settings that we need. So we'll put that one on. All right, let's jump up here to the plastics. This one's just a black plastic. So just a dark color on the principled. And we want it fairly shiny, so we reduce the roughness down quite a bit. And we'll get to know this more as we add more materials. Let's select this one, then this one, then this one. And select the one with the material last, and we can go Control L and link the materials to put them on the other. Another thing you can do with plastics is actually add on scratches. In this case, I am not going to. All right, let's quickly jump to our background. We'll add in a new material, background. And I made this blue, and this took quite a bit of adjusting. And we'll do more adjusting once we light that one in the background there. Then I've just got these, like the pump inside. I will take the bottle texture, duplicate this so that we've got a new texture, and call this one glass here. And I'm going to bump the roughness up so it's a rougher material. We get the straw, we grab the same one, so let's grab this texture. Let's call this straw maybe, and then put the straw on this so we get this. I've also added bubbles into this with I think it's a H2O geometry node setup, which was purchased. Now I'm going to increase that roughness just a little bit more. So we get something like this. Now I've got caustics on, so I'll show you how to set that up. Another issue you may get is in this area here with some dark spots. So I'll show you how to fix that there. So let's have a look here. All right. So let's take a look at some of our settings in here. Most of it, we're going to just drop down to the transmissions. I think this is default on 8. And so you can see straight away that this is black. And so up the transmission value here, and that will allow more through. And I've up the max bounces as well. So that just allows you to bounce more light within multiple objects. Then for clamping, what I've done is I've upped the indirect light. And I think that's by default 10. And this is for render speeds. And I've just upped that, so you don't have to go very far, but it just gives you this bit of light coming through here. Now the main setting for this is actually the filter glossy. So that's usually set to 1. If you set it to 0, that's when you get your caustics there. So that's looking pretty good. The caustics are coming from the environment light in this case because of this top light hitting it. So the caustics are running straight through the bottle and showing up here. All right. So what I'm going to do now is begin the lighting. So I'll probably start in the background here. That'll probably be the easiest light. So let's add in an area light. We'll just move this straight back. Rotate this one. I usually point it up like this. And I'll just scale this on the X and we'll start making it bigger. And then we can up some of these settings. So let's reduce the spread down to 90. And we'll start cranking the power up. So 150, and already we are pretty close to the colors we want. 200. Fairly bright scene. Now this background is so large because I want it to illuminate the bottle. So you can see here that that background is affecting the lighting inside of this bottle here. And I'll show you why. See these dark spots on the edge? Well, if we reduce that, we're going to get more dark spots inside the bottle here. So you can see the dark spots. If I increase the size of the light, remember that the power will decrease because of the light. There's a bigger bar emitting, so there's still 200 watts, but it's emitting from a larger space, so it's not as bright. So we can up that again to 50, and I've just scaled it up nice and large so that it's giving only some little dark edges rather than having it small, which will give me quite a bit of gradient in here. So what I'll do now is we'll sort of focus on the front here. We want to create two lights here. And so what I can do is Shift A, we'll add in an area light. We'll rotate this on the Y axis. And then we'll sort of just bring this out. G, Z, Z, bring it out. And sometimes I like to go into top view for this one. And we'll just position this light so it's like on the side here. Now I'm going to scale this one on the Y, local Y axis, so GYY. Like that. Now, I've been recently using an add-on which has been really cool, which is called Light Wrangler. It's a paid add-on, but it's definitely worth it because I'm using it in nearly every scene at the moment. And so traditionally I would use nodes here in my light to put a texture on the light. But with this Light Wrangler add-on, I can add a HDRI directly to the light super quickly. So we just go HDRI and we can select a HDRI from here. So I'm going to select a softbox looking one. And this is very subtle details, but it adds a softbox texture into our light here. So let's keep this light nice and big and we'll reduce the power down a bit, something like that. Shift D to duplicate this one, we'll bring it over to the other side. And I'll do the same here, scale on the local Y axis, make it small. Then I'll add a strip light to this one. And we'll just start doing this. And I might alter this light so it sort of feathers on the edges a little bit more. So we've got something like this. Let's reduce this power. I don't want it as bright, so we'll reduce it down to something like 2, so it's really just really light. Then I think the fourth light I had was in the background, so we'll add in a new light here. Now my scene's so small that I keep zooming too far. Let's put this one in the background here. And so all this one will be a light up in the top here to add a bit of a rim. So we'll add the same thing here with a feathered edge. And Light Wrangler also displays the light when you select it, which is a really cool feature. So that's looking pretty good. Alright, this is pretty much done for lighting. What you would do now is just add stuff to make this more realistic. So you could add some better glass textures, some more into the plastic here. What I'm going to do lastly is actually add a texture to this. So we'll add in our logo here. So what I've done is in Affinity Designer, I've just written up a label. We want it black and white. We also want the document set up. We want the color to be 16-bit. This gives us the highest quality inside of Blender. And so once we've got that, you can save it out probably as a TIFF file. Also try to keep the dimensions quite high, and that will give you a good resolution for this. So then we jump to Blender, and we can actually bring that image in. So I'll have to find it over the side here. So we've got the image here. Like that. We can add a mix, and we want a mix shader here. So mix shader. And this allows us to create two shaders. So a glass texture and also a foil texture, and mix them together. And so we can use the white and black values from this logo here to mix them together. So we can have one material on only the white and one material only on the black. And so if we plug that into the factor here, and then we'll plug the glass into, I think it's the bottom here. We can try anyway. So yeah, plug the glass into the bottom. You can just toggle, switch them around, drag them. And then we've got this here. Now, first things, my texture is repeating around here. So we want to swap this from repeat to extend, which will actually extend the outer pixels of the image. So this is our image here. Open. And so it's going to extend the white pixels out. So then you want to map this onto this correctly. So all I did here was alt click, and you have to be a little bit familiar with UVs here, but you can alt click these loops, you mark the seams, and then I just marked a seam down the back here. And so that means I'm just cutting out this space here, like this, so that I can put the texture on the front here. And so if we go to the front, you can come up here, turn on the texture, so you can actually see it over here. And then we can move that around like so. So you can move around, position this label as you see fit. And I just scaled down the other one. So if you go U, unwrap, you'll get these other two here. And just scale them down and move them into a wide area here so that it's only affected by the glass. So next we'll create a principal BSDF from this, and this will be our metallic. So just punch the metallic all the way up, reduce that down so you get something like this. You don't have to go all the way. You can get somewhere in here. Something like that. Now I've got a texture here. It's a normal, I have no idea where it got it from. It's like a thick grain paper, normal map. And so it's GL. And what I could probably do is drop that below. So I'll drop it in the description for you to download directly. And then we can drag this into our scene, and we'll plug this into a normal map here, like so. Into normal. That gives us this texture. Let's go Control T. That's a node wrangler. UV, we want to scale this one up to something like 10 so that the detail is super tiny. Now I want to do another trick to this. I want to actually make this a bump rather than just flat. So what I'll do is I'll bring this texture from here. So we can use this TIFF texture. We can plug it into a bump map. Then we can plug the color into the height here. And so then we get this. And what I usually do is reduce the distance down a lot. This just tends to help smooth out our bump a bit. So 0.05, we'll invert it and you'll see which way it goes later. Then we can plug the normal into the normal and then plug this bump's normal into the normal over here. So when we preview this, we get something like this. Let's have a look at it, and it's being raised out. So then you can just change the strength as you would like, and you can adjust whether you want it in or out. So we can 0.5, something like that, and you get this nice label here. So that's pretty much it for the full setup here. So then we can just save it and hit F12 to render out an image, and you get this. Now you'll lose a ton of detail in here because of the resolution of your image. You can increase the resolution of your image up here. So if we go 200% here, then render it, it's going to be double the size, so 4K. And you get this. Now, what I would do is your textures are being removed by denoise. So you would actually probably increase samples, keep pushing them. So let's try 512. And wait for the denoise to kick in. I think denoise is still going to remove the texture here. And there's still not enough resolution really to be doing it. So if you created another camera, so if I duplicated this guy and I changed my scene down here to camera 1 and I just moved let's GYY, move this in. We can create a close-up shot if we wanted. So that's where you're going to get all that really nice detail. So really far back, you're not really going to see it, but close up, you will. So you'll know. All right, that's it for this video. If you're interested in learning more about Blender and how to use it for product visualization, we have a course to get you up and running inside Blender. We create an iPhone model and we render it, and we go through every step of the process from modeling, shading to rendering a professional image. And you also get access to our Discord community. So it'd be nice to see you over there. All right, I'll see you in the next one.